Kia ora everybody, welcome back to another episode of Untidy Podcast, the show that celebrates the glorious chaos that is the human experience and all the different ways we choose to tuck into it. I'm Hannah Davison, author and co-founder of the My Big Moments children's books, co-producer of this show and also Two Small Humans. And I'm here with my sublime co-host.
Oh, thank you. Every introduction we do, she throws another adjective on me. It's great. So sublime is beautiful. I'll take it. I'm Matilda Green, content creator and mum of 3. And we're very excited today to be chatting to a couple of legends of radio and podcasting in New Zealand. JJ's looking around. Where are they? Jay-Jay Feeney and Dom Harvey in their beautiful new podcasting studio and joint venture PodLab.
Thanks, ladies. Wonderful to have you here.
Oh, it's so cool. So we'll do a bit of an intro, even though people won't need it, I'm sure.
Context.
Oh, yeah. I just can't wait to hear the adjectives that Hannah gives us.
So JJ and Dom have been household names in the broadcasting scene for 3 decades. I think it's been. Yeah, probably over 30 years now.
Yep.
Well known for their work together on, of course, the Edge's breakfast show, JJ, Mike and Dom, which for many of us voiced the backdrop of our coming of age stories. You know, we've all got memories of it, as well as sharing a radio show. JJ and Dom shared the off-air life too, being husband and wife for a while, and were a couple for 18 years. During that time, they've navigated the highs, lows, and committed to transformations of their relationship and their careers, which much of it in the public eye has been shared openly with their audience. And we can't wait to invite you to share even more with our Untidy listeners. Huge welcome, JJ and Dom.
Wow. Well, first of all, Matilda, that thing you said about people growing up listening to us, I hear that a fair bit these days. Like people will come up to me and say, someone in their 30s will come up and be like, oh, I grew up listening to you. Like Mum used to drive me to school, and it makes me feel so old. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm like, you're old and you listen to me as a kid. What does that make me?
Oh, it's amazing how it happens though. Like even for Art and I know this is about you, but I'll just make it about myself for a second. People come up to Art and I and they're like, oh, I watched you when I was in primary school on The Bachelor, and they're like 20, and they're adults, and I'm like, oh my God!
And you're like, I've never been more insulted in my life.
Yes, they're like 8 at the
It's just
time.
a reminder, eh? It's a reminder.
Yeah.
When was The Bachelor?
10 years ago.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Unreal.
2015. I know.
Wow. God.
Anyway,
it seems like just yesterday. Well, it does for us, maybe not for you.
Yeah. No, it does. It really does. Yeah, time goes exponentially fast. It's terrifying.
That was the best season. I know this isn't about you, it's about us.
But go on.
That was the best season ever. And the highlight for me on Instagram is like seeing like you and Art, and you've built this wonderful family and you've got 3 kids under 5 now, but also seeing the runner-up Danny and Logan Dodds. And it's like, he's Art 2.0.
He is. Yeah. He's a very cool, trendy Art.
Yeah.
Poor Art. Who's also cool and trendy.
He's also cool and trendy.
I was going to say, is Art not cool? I thought it was pretty cool.
He's really cool, but he's a dad as well. He does dad stuff.
It's funny how that happens overnight, that you sort of become uncool once you become a parent, especially when the kid starts talking. You know, as a baby, it's okay, you're still a bit cool, but then when the kid starts talking, you start to become the uncool dad.
Yeah. Well, what about his dress sense? Does he dress like a dad? I don't know. I only ever see him on Instagram Reels, and he's always shirtless.
He is, yeah. Well, he's shirtless quite a lot of the time off Instagram Reels too. But he has been described as a tennis coach sort of dresser, so like he's got a real tennis coach vibe to him.
I see that.
Yeah.
Mind you, you can talk
socks,
Dom.
I think.
Dom runs a lot, and so many people say, oh, I saw Dom running, like it's like you run the whole of Auckland City every day or something, but most of the time you don't have a shirt on either. Most people say, I saw Dommy, didn't have a shirt on, so...
And I probably should. Art should never wear clothing. like what the F is he up to, right? It's incredible.
He's just too handsome.
Does that feel like a lot of pressure for you? You're like, oh my God, I need to exercise.
No, but I have said to him a few times, like, why don't we look the same? Like we eat the same food. And he was like, maybe that's the problem. Because he works out an hour a day. He needs a lot of food. Maybe I don't need as much.
It's unfair.
That is
unfair.
I know.
Unfair. Anyway,
I can see how interviewing interviewers is going to be problematic.
Sorry, we'll behave. We'll behave.
You don't have to.
No more throwbacks.
No, you don't have to. We are excited to really drive home the nostalgia for so many of our listeners, because your voices and your story together have been such an integral part of of our younger years. I'm sorry, but it is true. Like, I distinctly remember, like, driving to school in my clapped out Triumph Toledo, 1977, like having an up and go for breakfast. And probably a cigarette in my school uniform. Not proud, but true. But it's just amazing. And because, like, the Edge breakfast days, like, radio was it. That was, for a long time. And such a huge audience was tapped into you every single day. Like, that is a responsibility, whether you were aware of it or not. But can you tell us, like, how your story with radio and one another began to unfold? Like, what happened first? Did you meet one another, or was it the Edge breakfast show? Jay, do you want to kick it off?
Okay, so we didn't know each other until I was already working on the Edge. I think, when was it that I met you properly? About 99.
We sort of knew each other through, like, radio circles.
Yeah, knew who he was because Dom was a big deal in Palmerston North.
A really big deal.
Does that put things
Still a
into,
big deal in
into
Palmy.
perspective?
So I was working on the Edge, but we started dating long distance. So I was in Hamilton. The Edge started in Hamilton. Dom was in Palmy. And we were dating for about 2 years. And going back and forth, it's such a pain, right? Palmy to Hamilton, it's like 6 hours driving and, expensive if you're going to fly and all that stuff. So we didn't know whether it was if we could sustain it or not. But then we got offered a job somewhere else. And we were going to leave so that we could be in the same place in Auckland together. But then our boss decided that I couldn't go. And he didn't really want to break up the show in Palmerston North, but he sort of didn't have much of a choice. So he said, well, your boyfriend can come and work here. And so that's what happened at the Edge. So we joined the Edge. Yeah, so I was working with Jason Reeves at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was Jace, JJ and Dom when it first started off.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because leading up to that, so it was a big job offer by ZM? Was it ZM?
Oh, it was one of the.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we were allowed to choose what station we went on.
Right.
That was controversial.
Because before that point, the boss of our company, Stephen Joyce, JJ, had said, like, me and Dom need to work together. And he's like, no, you're too important in Hamilton at the Edge, and Dom's too important in Palmerston North, because I was a very big deal in Palmerston.
Let's not forget.
So he didn't want to like stuff up 2 shows or just tinker with either of them. And then when we got this job offer, suddenly they make things happen. And it was a very scary situation at the time, because it's, yeah, it felt like a lot of extra responsibility, because he had the responsibility of the relationships. Like, we, long distance for 2 years. Suddenly we were living together and working together. And it felt like the pressure from, like, radio management as well. It's like, oh my God, they're going to be so mad at us if
it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think Stephen Joyce even did say, it's not going to last or something. He goes, he's just your boyfriend. It's not going to last. And that made me think, oh my God, if this doesn't work out, I am screwed.
Oh, look who's laughing now.
Yeah, exactly.
He was right ultimately. Like, when we broke up after 18 years, he sent a text, I told you so.
He's playing the long game. Yeah, he was.
It's like, my day will come. My day will come.
Yeah.
There's, it never expires that I was right, does it? Tom, what attracted you to each other personally and professionally back in the day when that all started?
Oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
We just got on so well.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm trying to think back. It was just so easy. It was such an easy relationship.
He was pretty hot the first time I saw him. Like, when I first met Dom.
I was wearing Canterbury shorts, like the patchwork ones.
Let me explain. The first time I met Dom was actually at, I think, the New Zealand Radio Awards, and he had big buffy hair and a bow tie and a suit and stuff, and I thought, what a nerd. Like, he's very enthusiastic, Dom, and I just thought he was just a little bit too...
I'm like a Labrador energy.
He's just a bit much. And I thought, he's just a bit too enthusiastic and whatever. Never thought anything of it. But
Was that the year you hooked up with Marcus Lush? Yeah, she wanted like a cooler radio guy.
Okay.
Less enthusiastic. Yeah.
I cannot confirm or deny that, Rona. Anywho.
Let it run.
When Dom eventually asked me out and he arrived at my house, he was walking up the driveway and his head was shaved. And he's 6'3" and he was wearing Canterbury shorts, which wasn't sexy, and this singlet, white singlet, but I just saw his arms and they were brown and just, he just had this confidence, and I thought, he looks a lot better than last time. So there was that attraction there, and then his personality won me over that night, because I didn't really think I liked him like that until he just made me laugh all night long. So
Oh, that's so cool. And isn't it funny how in New Zealand, like being keen and enthusiastic is like, that's seen as like embarrassing, and like being enthusiastic is such a great quality to have. But in New Zealand, it's like, oh, you're trying, you're keen, lame.
Yeah. Well, I had Aisha Scott from Below Deck. I had her on my podcast, and she is accused online all the time of being toxic positivity, and it's like
you can't win. I'm sorry, that's my personality. I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is weird.
I'm sorry that I thought that about you at first, Dom.
Oh no, it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
God, we're already getting into the nitty gritty.
I'm just going to say though, it is a bit weird, like thinking back to that attraction thing when we're not together anymore. If I asked you to think back to your last, long-term relationship and how you,
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah,
It is weird, but I
true.
really resonate with what you say about like it just felt so easy because the best relationships, getting into them, it does. There's just like no friction, there's no question, it just kind of happens, that sense of ease. What about like professionally when you were actually got to work together? Did that help foster the relationship? Were you like, oh yeah, this is even because when you see someone in their element and you're like, oh that's hot when you see someone in their element and it's like, oh.
Yes, well there was that attraction of because he's so good at what he did, and obviously vice versa. Oh no, because we both had the same common goal, and that was just to do so well at our job, I think, and we got along so well, and we could be so honest with each other. It really helped the relationship because some people can't be honest with each other, and that's where I think the friction lies. Whereas I could say, "Oh, you're pissing me off," or whatever, and he could say the same to me. Or, if I was mad about something, I'd just have my normal relationship little huff, and that's fine. But we didn't have that too much.
Oh, we had it in the studio a bit.
Only in the studio, never at home.
Because I had like that is true actually.
Yeah.
Because I had a certain way that I wanted to do things, or I thought things should be done, and Jay-Jay was very good as well. So she'd just stand up for me. She'd be like, "Dom, F off, you don't know everything. Shut up, no, we're doing it this way." And I think we were with Mike Peru by then doing the show, and he'd just sit there pretending to text on his phone or whatever, and we'd be looking for like the swing vote, for him to side with someone, and he just never want to get involved.
He cannot win. He cannot win. Oh my gosh.
I will admit that sometimes I would have little arguments with Dom for my own entertainment. To make Mike uncomfortable, or whoever we're working with uncomfortable, just because I found it to be quite funny.
Did it get awkward? Like, did you ever have a real big party where he was just like, "Oh man, get me out of here"? Or like, did it feel awkward, or were you just, I guess all three of you were just so close, working with each other every day.
Yeah, you'd have to be so in tune in that environment, wouldn't you? Because there's so much pressure, I guess, as well to put on an entertaining show,
and all have that kind of chemistry together.
I don't remember there ever being like an argument hangover or anything. Like you have a short, sharp argument, then the song finishes, and
we've got 3.5 minutes.
You're back to it. Whereas because it's a strange environment, like being in a radio studio with two other people. Like you're in. You can be in an office with someone and not. You can avoid them if you want. You can see them at the kitchen sink or whatever and have some small talk, but largely avoid them. And radio, you can't. Like, you're literally having conversations with people every day. Yeah, I know. That was fun, though.
You worked with Mike for only a short time, Matilda, for a week, and so you wouldn't have got it so much. But, when you're working with someone every day, like, as a person, you go through different emotions every day. And there's going to be some days where you're sad, some days where you're tired, some days when you're mad, whatever. So all of your emotions are there. Like, you share everything with each other. So there are going to be times when you just don't want to be around each other or whatever, and you have got nowhere to go. And there's been plenty of times on the radio where you're on air and you're upset, you're crying about something while the song is on, and then the song finishes and you've got to pull yourself together and sound like you're not crying, even though you're really upset about something. So there's a lot. That's the same for all of us. We've all had that where we've been, even you probably, had a little cry when the song's on.
Yeah. Oh no, I wasn't overly emotional back then. Now I cry all the time.
Can't stop.
It's
Season
an
10 into a
age
real
thing.
pussy.
Yeah, it is. It's an age thing. I don't know what's happened, but
But I feel like once you open the floodgates, and think like crying's okay, then it just feels good and you just let it out, cry all the time.
Yeah. Oh no,
Go for
it's an emotion that I'm really comfortable with now.
No, I think it's since you left the Edge. Because at the Edge, Dom was meant to be a shock jock, which he was, but he really embraced that character. And although he wasn't really that off the air, he really exaggerated it for on air. And it wasn't until you left the Edge that you started to actually find yourself and who you really were. And that's when you've shown your emotional side, especially doing your podcast. I'd never seen Dom cry for the first 11 years of our relationship.
Even and we're talking through some heavy shit as well, like rounds of IVF and stuff like that.
All sorts.
And I just
You never got him over the edge, JJ. It was hard.
The first time he cried, I was like, whoa!
Something's coming out of your eyes. Now, just try and stop me. A sad song on the radio.
Oh, and he's off.
An episode of Chicago Hope.
They are tearjerkers. They are. There's a journey in every episode. But I do want to talk about how your relationship played like such a part of the show, like to the point that it was almost a character in there was your relationship. And it got quite personal sometimes. Like I remember times when you recorded in bed together, right? Like it's a memory of mine. I feel like I was driving to school or something and you guys were in bed together doing something. That how did you, like it wasn't anything crazy, but I don't know. But how did you play with that line of like the right amount of audience shock factor? And like, was there anything that you kind of looked back on in hindsight and was like, oh, maybe we went too far, or like maybe that was yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was just as JJ said before, like we're both so like driven and so focused, so there was no sort of off switch. Then there was no sort of
and there's no line.
No sort of line or boundary. It was just like anything went really. So I don't recall you ever saying to me, "Oh, we shouldn't do that. That's too far." Yeah. And the problem is when you open that door and you give a part of yourself away, you can't ever take it back.
And I guess then it's like I would imagine being in that position where you need content every day, like you need entertaining content, and where else are you going to get it, right? Like you need it from your life and what you're doing every day. And so, like, did you find that you felt like you had to bring more and more to sort of get past the next level, if you know what I mean? Like, just keep the entertaining shock factor.
Yes, well, we had to entertain, we had to provoke, or not provoke, we had to, shock people or just
evoke an emotion, really.
Make them feel a connection in some way. And you can really only do that by being honest and vulnerable and sharing things that people wouldn't normally want to share themselves.
That's what people relate to as well.
So as awkward as it was, we just knew we had to do it. And looking back now, since I've been off the radio only a few months, I share way less of actually what's going on in my life because I don't need to. Yeah. But I found like on the radio every day, like you say, oh God, I've got to come up with a couple of topics or things to talk about. What did I do last night? And it's, oh God, I'm going to have to talk about that. Yep. And you would have found this when you worked with Mike for a week. He would have said, what did you do last night, Matilda?
Yeah, well, it made me think,
what's going on with the kids?
You have to actually do stuff, right? Yeah. Like you've got to do stuff to talk about it.
I just go home and make a stir fry.
I went out on Monday morning. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went to like a 5th birthday party on Saturday. God, what else am I going to pull out of the bag? I
know, and unfortunately you have to talk about it because you need to talk about something, right?
Yeah.
I always just find it the most uncomfortable if it's about someone else. So, like, if I was having a family dilemma, for example, I wouldn't want to, maybe I couldn't talk about it because my sister doesn't need to be dragged into it. Like I can't talk about this thing happening to me without implicating my sister in it. So when someone else is involved, you always find it a bit harder to share personal things. But otherwise, open book, had to be Just did it that was the job.
Whereas I probably didn't mind that as much as you did. So I'd go out for dinner with friends and I'd mine the shit out of their life for content.
You got the notebook out. Yeah.
So it's nice to go out for dinner now and friends don't have to say, oh, this isn't for the radio. And, you know, the thing that most conversations I had for a period of time, I had to start with that. Like, this isn't for the radio.
Off the record.
But it's desperation. There's like 8 breaks an hour or something. I was in the car a few weeks ago with my girlfriend. She's from a family that wasn't a radio family. So for the car, they didn't have a radio in the house. And for the ride to school in the morning, her dad would have ZB on for 5 minutes or whatever. And the radio show we were listening to, they were telling some story. And she was like, when you were on the radio, like did you tell crap yarns like this? And
no.
I was like, I was actually quite defensive. I was like, well, I just want you to know, like, I did, but there's so many breaks you have to do, and they can't all be gold.
There's got to be a yarn. Yeah. You've been so open about your relationship through the radio show and with the public and with the media. Did it feel like there was a sense of entitlement from the public and the media to be informed about the inner workings of your relationship? Because, you know, there was sort of an expectation that you would share.
Unfortunately, that's what happens when you open yourself up like that. You can't just say, oh, no, well, you're not going to have that now. You'd find this Matilda having a famous partner, you know, meeting on The Bachelor, the same thing. It's sort of like you have this duty almost in a way.
It's like an entitlement, eh?
Yeah, like you say, entitlement. But it is a duty because you've already given some of yourself. You can't make the rules anymore.
You've committed to it.
Yeah, people expect it. So Women's Day magazine comes knocking. You have to do so many stories with them. It's just part of it. You have to put things on social media. You know, you do feel a little bit like, oh, well, here it is. Here I am.
Yeah. But I guess that's why you guys are so successful, you know. Like, that was groundbreaking at the time, right? Because radio up until sort of around that time was pretty not serious, but there weren't any tears, or there wasn't a lot of emotion on there. So when you guys came along and brought that vulnerability and honesty and raw emotion sometimes, it was groundbreaking at the time, you know, and people really resonated with it because they thought, this is refreshing, you know, this is realness.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind.
Sorry, I was kicking the coffee box.
Sorry.
Oh,
Kanye is right by the wheel of
I know, I just noticed that. I'm like, I won't be.
Don't run him over.
He likes to sit. Kanye's in the studio. He likes to sit right at your feet. Like whoever, not even just us, but whoever's there, he'll pick someone.
I feel honoured
right there.
that I've got, by the way,
the dog, not the rapper.
Kanye is Jay-Jay and Dom's dog.
Oh, yeah, sorry, he's named
continue
after
to
some
co-parent.
weird rapper.
Yeah, Kanye is not in here sitting at our feet. That would be
Although, out of all the rappers, like he was named 10 years ago, I still stand by the fact Kanye's not so bad. Like, imagine if we called him Diddy 10 years ago.
Yes, that would have been
in a world of trouble.
You would have had to rebrand. There'd be no question.
When Kanye West came here in 2008, he was, so I've got a really hot friend, and we were in the crowd, well, the audience, and I reckon we would have been like 17 at the time, and one of his entourage came and chose her and said, like, you can come backstage, and we were like, can we come too? And he was like, oh yeah, I guess all the average mates can come too. Yeah, and so we got to go backstage, and we were all sitting there with all these other chosen girls in this like back. I know.
Did you say Diddy?
Backstage area.
No, Kanye. Kanye,
not Diddy. Not Diddy.
Okay, I'm still freaking out though.
No, okay. But we were in there waiting for him, just going hundy on the snack table, and then
Maddie's like, I'm here for the peanut M&Ms.
And then he got led in, and then he just sat on this couch opposite us with his laptop open, looking at reviews of the show with someone massaging him, and we just sat in a couch in front of him, and we were like, so yeah, how's it going? And then he goes, what was your favourite part of the show? And I said, when you sang Heartbreakers, and he was like, do you mean Heartbeats? And I was like, yeah, that's the one. Right.
Get out.
Anyway, it was a horrible, weird experience.
Things have been so different, Maddie.
I know. And they invited us back to their hotel.
Wait, I have so many questions.
Did you go? Yeah.
What, was there more food there? Was there another platter?
Food, and then we got food. We got shoved in a hotel room with all his security guards who obviously wanted, to like something. And like we were 17 years old, and then we were like, okay, well, thanks for having us. We're going to go now. And they all got really pissed off. I know.
Okay, hang on. So many questions.
Where do we start?
First of all,
Just
let's
remember
do
that.
part 1 and a part 2 because
By the way, remember, Jay-Jay, it's not your podcast.
I know, but I just have so many questions.
No, I'm all for this, Jay-Jay.
It is
go.
quite a bomb to drop. I don't know what it just came out, but yeah, there you
Lana's going to
go.
be thrilled. There's going to be a reel out of this.
Pulls you out in the middle of the show, so you missed the rest of the show.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
and we had
just
to wait for
sitting-
ages.
That's unfair.
Yeah.
You should have got your money back.
Well, that's what I thought
Well,
too.
she got value in food.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they were good. It was like before it was.
Just back to the platters.
Well, it was before like big grazing platters were a thing. It was only 2008, and it was a proper grazing platter. You know, where everything was touching, and it was all like bits of chocolate in with the cheese. It was.
Was he
quite
married to
impressive.
Kim Kardashian then?
No, this would have been pre-Kim,
that was-
2008.
okay.
This was quite early Kanye, I think.
Okay, so when you said you were in the hotel room and you thought that the security guards were expecting something else, how did you know this? Like, what?
Well, they were just sort of lingering about, constantly offering us drinks, and we were all just sitting there not really knowing what to do, and they kept like putting on
Yes,
music.
yes.
So I think there were 4 of us girls, and maybe like 6 of the security guards.
That is wrong.
I know.
And so were
I
you all
know.
friends, or was it just you and one friend and then a couple of strangers?
We were all friends. Yeah.
Oh, they're all your friends.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Oh
all
my
right.
God.
And you're all 17.
Yes.
Ish.
Yep. Yep. But we only got chosen because of our hot friend, and
But what do you think would have happened if it was just her?
I know. That's the thing.
because
That's the
you
thing.
said, could we come?
Yeah.
Like she could have been on her own.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did your mother say?
Well, I didn't tell her, but she knows now.
Another revelation.
I feel like enough time has lapsed where you're not going to be
It's
grounded.
fine, you know. It was
I'm shocked.
15 years or whatever.
Not surprised because, it's what happens in the music industry. It shouldn't. But if he's just doing that at this one concert in Auckland, he must be doing it at every concert he goes to.
Yeah.
Can you
It
imagine?
is appalling.
I know.
I feel sick, and I want to say I'm sorry that you had that experience, but you were safe, so that's good.
It's a
And
good
you got
one.
and you got
such a
fed.
great story.
Such a great story.
You didn't go hungry, and we're happy about
And
that.
we got to meet him, and I got to actually just slightly offend him with the nameless.
now we're really thrilled about it.
Final question on it from me. Souvenirs. Did you get one?
Oh, we did get a couple of photos, but I'm not in them, which is so annoying. I was
Maddie.
taking them.
No proof.
I know, so it feels like it was a lie, but it is actually, it did happen, I promise. I was part of it.
What a revelation.
I know. So there you go. That's my Kanye West story.
I
That
want to
is-
cheers you because it was the best story I've heard all day.
Thank you.
That is so much better than a story where you and your friends hooked up with them or something. Eh?
I know.
We went there, we ate the platter where everything was touching.
You robbed him of his grapes.
And then he was denied of 17-year-old girls.
He was. Yeah.
It's just
Shame on you,
unbelievable. Like in America, 18 is the legal age of consent. So you were kids to him.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
I'm
Well, I
sorry,
don't
but
think he would have known, or maybe you did.
I'm sure he
They
did.
wouldn't have been checking your IDs.
No. It was very loosey goosey. It
I
was just.
bet
know.
you didn't look older than 17. You
I
look
did
young
look
for your
very
age
young.
now, so why would you have looked older back
Yeah,
then? Oh
and I
my
was
God.
covered in fake tan as well, so like maybe I just looked, I don't know, maybe it made me look older being covered in fake tan.
Your hot friend, does she resemble the Kardashians in any way?
She sort of does. She sort of does.
He is a type.
Yeah.
You're too blonde for him.
yeah, exactly. It's boring.
This is kind of a question directed to all three of you because, all of your relationships are in the... It's very hard to
really
bring
making
it
this
back
about
from
me.
Kanye. I've got to be honest, there's no
know.
segue, so it's just going to be what it is. So all three of you, your relationships are all in the public eye, and it's sort of like having a nosy neighbour twitching the Venetians, right? So, is it sometimes better to beat the media to the punch to a degree and be able to control the narrative of what you know is going to be coming out anyway?
It depends what that is. It depends what it is. But sometimes it's better if it doesn't look like it came from you.
You've
Well, I
got
guess
to
if it's
decide.
something like super private
Yeah.
that wouldn't, then probably not. But I don't know. Like, what about when you guys separated? How did you navigate that?
We're lucky we kept that a secret for about a month from everyone at work even. They started suspecting it when Dom and I started arriving at work 2 different times. I think Randall did, eh?
I think on the air and on Instagram, I think we did that. I mean, we're kind of lucky in New Zealand where there's Women's Day that's got a photographer. There used to be Norrie Montgomery back in the day from the Sunday Star Times, but there's not really a paparazzi culture here. So
Nah.
you can sort of control, I guess, what goes out.
We tried for a bit, didn't we? you know, to
Oh,
get a
with-
bit of a paparazzi culture. And
Yeah,
then
there
it
was
just-
Rachel Glusina and a website called Scout, which was like a little bit sort of like nasty,
That's
a little bit
right.
UK-ish for a time.
That was
kind
the
of icky.
problem. It was all really bad gossip. Like,
It was just
mean.
nasty.
It
It
was
was
mean,
unkind.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we really like that as Kiwis, though.
Nah, and that's why it didn't last. I think being on the radio, you have the advantage of like you are going to say it first anyway, and you can only hide things for a certain time. Like hiding us being separated could only last a certain time. But the reason why you don't say it straight away, same as if you find out you're pregnant or whatever, you've got to come to terms with it yourself first.
Yeah, you're navigating things on your own
it's not-
timeline.
Nobody would want to go out there and publicly tell everyone, I just separated from my husband this morning. You know, like you've got to give it some time to see, is this actually a thing? And, you know, you're hurt, you're emotional.
You're dealing with sort of grief in that particular scenario. You're dealing with like grief yourself because you feel like a bit of a failure in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're a winner. Look at you, still winning.
And it's a win that you're sitting here together after
Exactly.
being separated as well. You know, I mean, that's
I can't get
incredible.
away from this guy.
Yeah.
But you must have an enormous amount of trust in one another. Like, and you would have had to really rely on one another and trust, particularly like when you're on the radio show and you don't really know what's going to come out of the other person's mouth. You know, like you have to be like, you need to know where the boundaries are. Were there times that you felt like trust had been breached between you, and how did you repair if there had been a rupture?
No, I don't think so. No, I can't. Can you think of anything?
Not really when the trust was broken. Well, when JJ had like a breakdown at one point, and she was at home, and she had a new book out called Life on the Edge. Was it Life on the Edge?
Yep.
And at the time, someone sent me a copy of the John Kirwan book called All Blacks Don't Cry, which I found was a fantastic like mental health resource, and it gave me a better understanding of what JJ was going through. So I went back on the air and I sort of spoke on your behalf, and I explained what was going on with JJ, and I said this book by John Kirwan is super helpful, blah blah blah. And you were mad at me that I was like promoting his old book when you had a new book out.
It wasn't like a big thing about it, though. It was a passing comment. Mind you, I did read John Kirwan's book and it actually helped me.
And it actually
I
was
watched
good, as it
It
turned
was
out.
good. It wasn't a bad place, dark place, but yeah.
Do you think you're good at repairing ruptures between you? Because I like just the way that I noticed that you talk about how you'd have a bit of a skirmish off air, but like because you're open and honest, do you find that it was quick to repair the ruptures? Like you just said it and then it kind of you got past?
We also know how each other deals with sort of any kind of anger or hurt or whatever. Dom's more of a, you're quite quiet. He can definitely very quiet. I'm someone I'll just like, blah, say it. And then I need to be by myself for a while and I'll come back when I'm feeling ready to face everything.
Yeah.
So we know how each other works. So we don't take too much offence in the way that the person reacts to something, and we know when to give each other the space to let them come back again. So
Yeah, but there's like a massive amount of like respect and trust there, like a huge amount. Like we've got no document for this business that we've just started. There's no documentation or anything.
Yeah.
And my partner said to me, "Oh, shouldn't you get this like done legally? Like, what if JJ like screws you over?" And I'm just like, "It's just not going to happen." It's like I
You heard it here first. Yeah.
Well, you say there's no documentation, but we are like 50-50 shareholders. That's in documentation.
yeah, but
But I am the director.
There's just this. there's just this extra layer of trust there, where you just know that regardless of what happens, you know, she's never going to let me down, and I'm never going to let her down.
It does sound like famous last words, but
No,
yeah.
but
I think we've been through enough
Yeah.
to say that with a reasonable. I mean, it might be famous last words, but I think I can say it with a reasonable degree of certainty.
yeah, it feels like there's enough data there to
100%.
be able
Yeah.
to make that
Yeah.
choice. And you just sort of alluded to the mental health struggles you had, JJ.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself during that period?
oh, geez. I was a lot overwhelmed. So I think I learned from that to just not take on so much and to, you know, say no. And
Was it a burnout related sort of thing?
it was a lot of burnout, I think. It was just like a lot of things happened at once. You know, shit's always happening in our lives and you can handle a little bit of shit and maybe another couple of things happen. But then when it all just, sometimes it can just collapse you. And that's what happened to me. I just had a lot going on and I couldn't cope anymore and I just didn't want to either just one day I just absolutely lost it and I couldn't control myself. I just knew I was in a bad place and I needed to just get away. I was in bed for 2 weeks. I did not get out of bed for 2 weeks. I just couldn't. I couldn't face anything, anyone. It was horrible. And I didn't know if I was ever going to get out of it, but luckily I did. And yeah, it is. It's just a time thing. You have to go through it, obviously.
Yeah.
What is it? Power
Day
through.
by day.
Yeah.
And what else helped you through it? Like, was there anything in particular? Was it a type of support from someone or any resources or anything that helped?
I can be quite stubborn in terms of I don't like people doing things for me or helping me. So I did have persistent friends, like Dom's one of them, and another one, my friend Katie, and they'd come around every day, or call me every day, and I'd say, I'm fine, but they'd come around anyway. So things like that actually did help. And reading John Kirwan's book. And then another friend who had been through a similar thing came around, she started taking me for walks every day, and we just walk around. I hate exercise, but I did it and I started feeling a lot better and just being able to, first of all, have that rest of a couple of weeks where I just needed to process in my head and sleep it off and whatever. And then I just took it, like you say, day by day, just trying to do less and less and just heal myself. Yeah. It's hard though. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm good now. I'm good now.
We're through it.
Yeah, but there's no saying you won't get back to that.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
you can
yeah.
put guardrails in place, but you don't know. And then, and in reflection on that time, so I continued working. So I'd be getting out of bed at 5 a.m. going to work, and I'd be home 11, and I'd be like, "Come on!" I'd get home, open the blinds. Come on, it's a beautiful day out there. Let's get outside, get some vitamin D on you. Come on.
Oh, toxic positivity.
Yeah, but in hindsight, it was probably the wrong way to.
It was.
It came from a good place, but it was a lack of understanding on my part.
Unfortunately for Dom, back then, he had no idea what depression was. He really didn't. And he would always, he thought it
I
was
thought it was a hoax.
Yeah, he did.
This is a
Just a bit
conspiracy.
sad for a bit.
He thought it was a choice and that you could just snap out of it. Come on, just do some exercise.
Don't be depressed.
Watch a funny movie. Say something funny. Yes,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
honestly did, and it used to make it. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things I had with Dom is that he didn't understand that depression, you couldn't help it, and as much as he tried to just cheer me up, it was really frustrating. And it's not till years later when he's actually been through it himself and now he knows what it feels like and knows what it is that you understand. He's actually apologised to me since. I'm sorry for not understanding you back then. But yeah, I mean, if you've never been depressed, how can you possibly not think that it's something you could snap out of?
Yeah, because it just it does seem like someone is just a bit down, and so just open the blinds. How can it be?
Well, my thing was I know for me, exercise gives me more energy. So come on, let's get out and exercise, and this will fix everything.
Yeah,
It just made me madder.
Yeah. So, JJ, you got your Stephen Joyce moment there where you're like, now you know. Yes. I was right. Here's your text. So, but I mean, those hardships, those real hardships that you go through together, and especially where, in that instance, you weren't able to give her the support that she really needed. Relationships are just such a vehicle for personal growth. And that growth comes from that place of discomfort and being challenged. And it inspires change out of necessity because you cannot sustain what's going on. So, do you look back at that time and see how you might have pushed one another into kind of a choiceless personal growth? Or when you were together, do you think that you've inspired that growth in one another through some of your challenges and hardships?
I think what you just said, the latter there. I think it's a perception, how you see things and want to handle things in a relationship. And Dom and I are both of the thinking, I think, on your behalf. Your stomach is rumbling. So we did always want to support each other and still do support each other. So even when we don't understand what the other's doing or we're upset with it or whatever, we understand that, you have to work together anyway. There's a cooperation, there's a, you've got to meet in the middle sort of thing and take a little bit of a good with the bad. So we navigate around that and come together again at the end. So that was really hard to explain. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
I've kind of lost where I started
You
with that
have
one.
to surrender your ego for a relationship to work. You have to surrender that to one another, which means accepting your own deficiencies, and accepting another person's deficiencies and choosing to love them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not blaming the other person if things aren't going right for you. It's not all their fault. Yeah, actually, what's your role in it?
Yeah.
Why are they upset? Is it something you did? So you've got to both take the blame as well.
Those revelations do come. Do you ever, like, even now look at one another and think, like, you've still got a little bit of work to do there, mate?
A lot. No, I'm only joking.
But I think everyone does, though, right? Like, who is ever at
Who's
the
finished?
end of the
Yeah.
journey? Like, I am
I've done it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done all the healing I can do, and you know,
Oh,
none
no,
of us
I
are.
think that's I'm 51 now. And I think that's the exciting thing about aging. Because when I was like in my 20s or even 30s, I'd see someone that was 51 and I'd think, that person's got their shit together. Like, they know they've clocked life. They know what it's all about. And then you get there and you're like, oh, no, everyone's just figuring it out as they go along. And I think that's the exciting thing. It's a constant, like, changing, self-development sort of thing, if you want it to be.
Yeah,
And it's a relief to actually realise that everyone is figuring it out as they go along forever until we go. But like, there's certainly been times in my experience when sometimes like revelations about areas of my own personal deficiency, where there needs to be some growth, can bring some shame. When you realise that, Matilda, sorry,
the coaster stuck to the cup. Sorry,
no, mine's been doing it the whole time.
We must get some unsticky coasters. Okay.
Oh dear, we'll leave that in. It's untidy.
It's on brand.
But it's on brand, always on brand. But it brings shame when you realise that you might have failed someone that you really care about, and you might have failed yourself. Does that idea sort of resonate with you, and how have you approached your relationship with shame?
Well, I think it's just knowing your trigger points, like knowing what makes you feel shame or guilt or whatever the emotion is, and trying to do it less.
It really is as simple as that.
Make fewer mistakes.
I don't know. And there's like even now, like if I have a massive weekend or a massive couple of nights in a row, like I know I'm going to feel shit for a few days afterwards. So it's like, well, the solution to that is to avoid doing that. So yeah, there's things I do that might give you like a cheap dopamine hit or whatever, but you're going to feel shame or remorse or regret afterwards. So that sounds very simplistic, but it's try and do that stuff less.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
What about you?
I actually, because of the beginning of that question and where we got distracted with the coaster, I completely forget what it was.
Oh, the coaster really got in the way there.
Yeah.
I got the shame bit, but I'm like, what was the question again?
The question was when you have revelations about areas in yourself where you can see that you need personal growth, and where you feel like maybe you've let someone down or you've let yourself down, and that brings up shame. Like, how do you manage that, and what's your relationship with shame?
Yeah, that's true. I have a lot of that regret, because I'm someone who opens my mouth before I think as well. So often I'll say something and I think, oh God, I didn't mean it like that, or oh God, why did I say that? So I have a lot of moments of that. So I'm just like you just have to, you've done it, you've said it, you've got to pick yourself up, keep going.
And try not to do that again.
Try not to do it again. Yeah,
But
be better
also,
next time.
that can be a really great quality. It sounds like my mother-in-law, she's like very direct. And now I understand that it's actually a great thing, because she'll never lie to me. Everything that she says to me,
exactly
I know
where you stand.
is what she is thinking. And I know where I stand all the time. And I love it. And now I've taken some of that on, because I was, I have been a bit of a people pleaser sometimes. But now I'm like, isn't it just really refreshing when you can have a conversation with someone and you can just say what you're thinking? You don't have to be unkind, and like maybe sometimes it might come out wrong, and then you can
Try and soften it.
that somehow. But I think we could actually be a bit more like that sometimes too, because there is a lot of pandering. There's like a lot of people pleasing that goes on, that sometimes it's nice to just say
That is
something.
exactly me. I think me and your mother-in-law would get on well.
Yes.
I'm of the thinking, like, just get to the point. Don't people want to know the truth? Why would I lie to you? Why would I'm not going to pussyfoot around.
Yeah, just say.
But not everyone appreciates being direct or hearing the truth. They just don't.
No, that's true. And I think that's a good thing. But then there's people like my mum who's...
too direct. Hi, Sue. Love ya.
She will listen to this because she's very, very supportive. But so mum runs, and my girlfriend, we went out for brunch with mum, and Ash said to mum, oh, hey, Sue, I ran 5Ks today. Mum said, yeah, I saw that on Strava. You're not going to make the Olympics anytime soon, are you?
I've actually seen Sue on your Instagram and she seems like a legend. That's hilarious.
Yeah, she is. But that's being unnecessarily direct. It's like, well, yeah, she's not trying to make the Olympics.
But she's done a great job. Hey, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to hear.
Your mum is allowed to be a running snob like you because she is in her 70s and she still runs full marathons.
Wow.
So, of course, she's going to be thinking like that.
Yeah, so she's kind of earned it.
Yeah.
So speaking of your partners now, like you guys have quite a unconventional relationship, I want to say. You know, you work really closely together.
Yeah.
And you've both got partners. So how, like, has it been challenging for them to accept how close you are, or are they fine with it?
Well, do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah. So my previous partner, like, it got to the point where it was a fictitious. Is that a word?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a
make it a word.
fictitious sort of thing. My partner at the moment, she's very, very understanding. And I think it's because like
supportive.
JJ's been very welcoming to her as well. I was talking to a lady the other day at this restaurant, and she was like, "Oh, I have, I hope this isn't out of term, but I see you and your ex on Instagram, and I think it's a really good relationship." And then she went on to tell me that her and her ex-husband had the same sort of relationship, and then he got a new partner, and then she was like, "Oh, now it's weird because she didn't want him having that close relationship." And I'd like to think, I don't know, like, I mean, that could happen to us. Like, JJ could meet someone new that she's smitten with, and he could be like, I feel weird about this relationship, and it forces you to take a side, or vice versa with me. And that could happen, but I hope it doesn't. And I'd like to think, for me personally, it would always be like a hard and fast rule. Like, this is part of the deal.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think for the relationship to get to that point where you think you want to be with the person, it's got to get past the stage of, this is the baggage that comes with me. Like, I don't have kids, I don't have a messy divorce or anything. I'm still friends with my ex. And if you can't accept that, then I don't know if we can actually grow together. So it's part of the deal, unfortunately. But most people are fine because they see that Dom's not a threat to them, or like Ash, she sees I'm not a threat to her. Like, there's nothing sexual romantic between us anymore. We have just a really good relationship, and it benefits everyone because
It's a positive thing.
yes, it's positive. We get along well. We still actually share money, and now we've got business together. Like, if you think of it like that, then how can you have a problem with it? It's not like he's an asshole or I'm a psycho cow.
Well,
Well, I guess
He's joking.
it's a credit to you both because
Yeah.
not everyone can achieve that and can be, comfortable and content and, enjoy each other's company after going through something like that. So it's actually a credit to you both. And I agree, it should be seen as a positive for any partner to think
It's a benefit, right?
Yeah.
You've got this massive support structure, both of you.
yeah.
And the people that are around you. And it kind of doesn't matter, I think, how a relationship starts. It matters, where it is in the moment.
Oh, yeah, and it's a relationship that's hugely important to me. I'm very protective of JJ.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Very sweet.
Cute. No, but I think like lots of people say, oh, couple goals, whatever. I love how I wish I could be friends with my ex, etc. And it would be cool. In a perfect world, it would be cool, but it does take two to tango. And sometimes there's a reason for the breakup that someone is really hurt badly. Like Dom and I didn't break up for any malicious reasons or any. It was really just the spark went, hey, that was it. A few other things, but nothing enough to hate each other or to think the other person is a bad person. Just the relationship ran its course. So we're lucky that we just
salvage all
accept
the
that,
good
but not
things.
everybody can have that because the reason that for their breakup was too hurtful or painful or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common thing for people to look at the end of a marriage and call it failure, right? Because the only marker of success is longevity. It doesn't matter if they fucking hate each
100%.
other's guts. But they were together for 60 years, like waking up every morning just hoping the other person will walk out and get hit by a bus. Like, but apparently we look at that and we're like, that's a success.
Goals.
Right?
Yeah, wow.
But like, I think
stuck it out through a horrible
good
time.
for you. Just wondering when they were going to tip over the edge and poison their coffee. I think it takes enormous courage and effort, actually, on both people's parts to like accept a relationship needs to go through transformation, and rather than just come to a full stop, and like in choosing transformation over a full stop. It takes conscious effort and dedication, to like sustain the parts that are relevant and deserving of continuing, which you've done, and then letting go of the parts that have lost the relevancy to continue. So I certainly applaud that, and I think like we do need to change the way we look at what is a successful relationship. Did it take a lot to sort of disentangle what you thought needed to change and then what should remain? And what did you keep sight of when you're like, okay, this marriage needs to come to an end? How are we moving forward?
That is deep, isn't it?
I think it just sort of like evolved naturally over time, without sort of...
Because we at first just thought we're separate. We just needed some time apart. And I guess it was like, well, maybe we'll talk about this down the track or get back together or whatever, but we just never did get back together. So it just sort of evolved in, oh, yeah, this is working out all right, this separation thing. And, we're still working together and we still see each other every day because we had, at first, I think my nephew might have still been with us. Can't remember, I think he was. And we had the dog and everything. So it just naturally evolved for us. And we realised that we still just really care about each other and we have such a great relationship, and not just us, but our families and all our friends and everything. It'd be a shame to bust all of that up. So it wasn't like we sat down and said, okay, we're going to be friends now, but these are the
parameters.
These
are the rules.
It just sort of happened and we just sort of worked it out.
It's probably like that saying, like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's kind of like that. It's like just try and save what's good from the relationship and what's working and just get rid of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's a bizarre saying, isn't it, when you really think about it?
Yeah, someone must have done it at one point.
Right, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yes, what we don't do is throw the baby out as well.
We tried it, it wasn't great at the end.
Heather did that.
It's funny, like one of my friends were talking about my marriage, which I am not in anymore, and he worked out the percentage of my life that I had been in that relationship. It was a lot. It was like, I don't know, nearly 30% of my life or something I had been in that relationship. And I was like, it's a long time to spend to share your whole life with another human. It's not all bad. And I remember like on leaving it and trying to figure out, how ends work and what transformation looks like and what new beginnings look like with this person in your life, because we've got 2 children together as well. And even if we didn't, I wouldn't have wanted to throw the whole thing away, because it's like, relationships are like a rope, full of strands. And when a relationship comes to an end, like a lot of those strands have broken away, but there's still some bits just keeping it together. And sometimes those are the ones that you have to cut, because you're like, this has to sever for us both to go our separate ways. And that's really painful, because you grieve not just what didn't work, and what broke. You also grieve what you had to separate, what you had to take away. But there's things that don't need to end, and you've got so many shared memories together. It really makes up the fabric of your life. And it's still nice to like talk to my ex-husband, you've got your in-jokes. Like they're still good. They're still funny. Like, oh, remember that time? You only have to say like one thing and everyone's laughing. And, why would you choose to, you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, why would you choose that? And I think that you need both people to be on the same page with that, because some people just can't, and you can't make them.
Yeah, exactly. And for some reason, as Jay-Jay was saying before, like it's just not possible for every couple. But we went through a lot of stuff. Like we worked together doing a high pressure breakfast radio show for years, but then there was like a decade of fertility stuff, a family adoption. Like, you look back and it was like we went through a lot of like quite, I suppose in hindsight, like deeply traumatic stuff in a way. And it's something that only we can relate to. So
yeah,
it gives you like an understanding and an empathy for that person.
If any future partners of ours, not to say that you'd have any future ones, it might be Ash for the home run, but if we did have meet partners that we were really, really into that weren't supportive of the relationship, I think we would just have to find a way. We would do what's best for our partners, ultimately, probably, in terms of if someone came along and they said, I'm really uncomfortable with you hanging out with Dom or whatever, then I would spend less time with Dom, but I wouldn't be able to cut it off completely since we're in business together.
And it's also a big ask,
Yeah, but we would consider that. But you have to also consider, like, from them, what is it that you're worried about? What are you scared of? Because it is new partners that can ruin the friendship that some people have when they break up. But it's like, what is it just that you think it's not normal? Because that's a lot of it. It's not normal for you to be friends with your ex.
That's just convention, right? That's just social. What we've learned from social convention, which doesn't mean it's actually true. And
then is it like a self-esteem problem as well? And so then is that kind of a them problem?
I think it's a you problem.
Yeah,
not an ex
exactly.
Well, I think a lot of it would probably be people. They'd see us together and it's fine, but then you take it out of that ecosystem and you have friends getting in your ear going, "Oh, it seems a bit weird." You break up or you don't break up. What are they doing? And then suddenly that churns over in your own mind.
Oh, people putting thoughts in your head.
Yes.
Yeah. And so speaking of other people, how do you deal with other people's opinions on your lives and public scrutiny?
Oh, personally, I'm just used to it because we've had it, our whole lives, basically.
Do you read stuff or do you just ignore it?
Oh, you're really good at ignoring it.
Yeah, I am.
JJ's really
if
good.
someone comes in my house, as in on my social media or whatever, and says something horrible or mean or wrong, then I will deal with them. Like I may just block them or whatever. But you can talk shit about me anywhere else. I don't care. Like I know on the Herald website, the Stuff website, there's some really mean people, and they'll say the meanest, most horrible things. But you only hear about this because I'll never go and read it because first of all, it's out of context. They don't know me. Yeah. I don't know them. I don't care. So I'm good at separating it. But if you come into my house, why are you even following me if you're going to be this mean? Like, don't bother. Take it somewhere else. I'm keeping it positive. So I know people have an opinion about us. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care.
I've got better with it over the years, but it takes a long time to get to that point where you actually don't give a rat's ass about it. I just remind myself. So earlier this year there was a story on the Women's Day, and my partner was sort of offended by it because a lot of people were getting on social media like saying, the comment they got, Ash, was someone said in a comment, she's just like a Jada bar in their relationship. No, like a roadblock and Jay-Jay and Dom getting back together or something like that. And I was like,
what's wrong with people?
Yeah. But I said, Ash, think about every single person you know and imagine any one of those people like going online, writing a comment about someone they don't even know. Would anyone you know do that? And she went, no. And I'm like, exactly. They're not normal people.
No.
Like, they're not.
No. Why would you listen to them? You wouldn't take advice from them, so why would you take their criticism?
I heard this great bit of advice, and I want to say it's Brene Brown, but I could be wrong, where she was facing whoever it was facing a lot of criticism. And then what she realised was that, like, she thought about, well, whose opinion really matters? Whose opinion would I actually listen to? Whose opinion counts? She's like, I could write it down on a piece of paper the size of a postage stamp. And that's what she did, and she kept it in her wallet. And then when she was feeling affected by some kind of criticism, she'd get out that bit of paper and be like, are any of these people the author? Like, no.
But you find out it's your own dad, just on there. And it's like,
everyone has a bloody microphone now. You would have found this when you were on The Bachelor, for example. Sorry about this, Hannah, bringing this up again.
No, I love it. But can we go back to Kanye as well? Because I don't
I reckon there would have been people who were upset that you won. There were people that were backing whoever came second, third, I can't even remember now. Yeah. But, and they would have been saying mean things about you. Yeah. And they don't know you. And in fact, if they were sitting in front of you, they would never say that because you're not real to them. You're this person on the TV. They forget that you're real. And that's the same as when you're on the radio. I think people forget that you're actually real people. Yeah. You're a character to them.
You're a character.
So there's no way they would say that to your face. And not because they're gutless. It's just that they wouldn't, once they meet you, they'll be like, oh, I actually really like you. I'm glad you won The Bachelor. So
it is bizarre.
It is strange.
Yeah. And I think there's just a real disconnect that people forget that it's human beings who have, complex 3D lives. But there was one time where actually this was just after The Bachelor had finished filming, and I was out at Soul Bar and this drunk woman said to me, oh, I really wanted Alicia to win. I was really gutted. And I was like, oh, that's sorry about that. I'm really sorry. And it was the only time that someone had ever said something to my face. And I was like, people really see me as a character, and like a sitcom. It was the most bizarre experience. And you're right, it's just people need to remember that there's a human being. And I think it takes time. Like if you have experience in the public eye or whatever, it's like this part of your ego wants to know what everyone thinks of you, or like wants to know what they're saying about you, which I think is like human nature as well. Like if someone's talking about you behind your back, you kind of want to know what they're saying. And so, but as soon as you dip your toe into like, I wonder what they are saying about me. Oh my God, it's the worst thing you can possibly do.
It's terrible.
We do not want to know. That is key.
It takes a long time, like, to get to that point, though, where you can't be like, I wonder if there's anything on Tattle. Like,
Tattle!
What is Tattle?
I only just found out about it in the last few months. So it's this. Is it British? I think it started.
It sounds
off
like
in
a
the
British
UK.
word.
It does
It's just
sound like
weird, just the nastiest people. I heard about it because I had Simone Anderson on a podcast, and she mentioned it, and then I hadn't heard of it until that point. But it seems like it's a big ecosystem.
It is bizarre.
horrible.
So it's
What is
basically people like anonymously talk crap about people on
That don't know.
Instagram, like anybody in the public eye, basically, and they say horrible, horrible things like about people's families, and it's horrible. And I didn't even know about it. And then one time I broke my rule, and I was like, I wonder what they're going to say about me.
What did they say?
They said they hate my teeth, and and that.
You've done a Colgate ad.
Yeah, well, they hate my teeth, and my house looks like a nana's house.
Oh.
I know. So I was like, I feel like I got away actually quite unscathed.
They didn't like the chintz.
So
They didn't like the
they
chintz.
didn't like the chintz, and they didn't like the antique plates, and I'm okay with that. Teeth hurt a little bit. I was like, that's a bit mean, but that's okay.
But that's not true. Because,
Exactly.
like, you've done a
Exactly.
Colgate ad and no one
Who
else has ever
cares?
said that.
Who cares? But it is
The
just
person that
ego.
wrote that is probably just jealous that you've got a full set.
Exactly. Look at her with her 24 teeth. I mean, you were supposed to
You
have.
don't know also like the intention behind it. Like some people could just be taking the piss, but you can't. It doesn't translate in text.
There's no tone.
So you don't. It may not necessarily all be mean. It's just the way you've read it as well. But
Exactly.
it's just best to stay off stuff like that. Just stay away from it because it's only going to hurt you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
it
do you
was a
want to ruin your
reminder.
day?
Exactly. Like it was just a reminder of that. I thought, right, I'm never going to go on onto that hellhole again. But I did think like this is what some people are choosing to do with their time is to just gossip and be so nasty about these people that they choose to follow online so that they can be nasty. That's the whole reason that they do it. It's called hate following.
It really brings back to it's a you problem. Like,
It's
what
a
are
you
you not
problem.
addressing in
Yes,
yourself?
there's some
that is
projection.
There's some projection
going on.
Like I remember, like, and I think until you've been the subject of nasty gossip, you kind of don't get this. And then once you've been the subject of nasty gossip, you're like, I'll never do that to anyone else again. Because I remember after my husband and I separated, and like at that time, you're so vulnerable. It's so raw, and you're so vulnerable. And I was living in a small town, and one of the rumors that went around, well, there were some nasty rumors that went around, and like you realize that you have to release that fear of judgment because you literally can't run to every door, knock on it, and be like, yeah, by the way, that's not true. But then there was some like funny ones that went around. And my favourite one, and when I heard this, I was like, do you know what, just keep spreading that because that's actually quite entertaining, was that me and producer Flick, my business partner, were having an affair.
Right.
Together.
Together,
All right.
yeah. And she was about 38 weeks pregnant at the time. And I was like, do you know what? Let
Run
it
with
run. Let it run. That's too. We won't be stopping that one. That's
That
too
one's
good.
a ridiculous one.
Isn't it? And you're just like, what are you doing? But then, when you're in it and you're so vulnerable, you're like, seriously, like, do you realise? I know this is social currency for you, and that makes you feel powerful, but you are capitalising on someone else who's extremely vulnerable. And I think once you've been in that situation, like you just like go, I'll never do that again. Never do that again. Anyway, I want to talk about professionally what you guys are doing because you've both transitioned to more independent endeavours. And how has that journey been relying on yourselves and stepping away and making it work? Because like the Dom Harvey podcast, you've got well over 1 million downloads, which is wild.
It's an amazing podcast, by the way.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I hope you're really proud
Thanks,
of it.
ladies.
Yeah.
That's
I-
nice.
Yeah, I am actually, and that's something I struggle to say. Like I struggle to say I'm proud of myself about things, but you look back at something you've built, and you've done it without any assistance from anyone else, and it's like, yeah, I am proud of it.
That's
Yeah,
good,
so
like,
thanks
because
for-
sometimes it's hard to stop and appreciate what you've created and appreciate like that there is success. Like, so is that difficult to like stop and be like, yes, I
Yeah,
can enjoy it, or are you always like, what's
Yeah,
coming
I try to be
next?
mindful of that. Like, if you have a growth mindset, you're always looking forward. But I have learnt the importance of like pausing and celebrating successes along the way. I think because in radio, which is like we're institutionalized, like you're never allowed to do that. Like I remember I was saying it, joking with Jay-Jay and Mike like last week. There's one year where we just dominated everything. Like we won every award imaginable at the radio awards, including this big one, which is the Sir Paul Holmes Award for overall broadcaster of the year. And our bosses that night were like, yeah, there's still work to do. Polly and Grant are beating you and 34 to 39 females. So it's like you're never allowed to.
You're not allowed to win.
You imagine the All Blacks winning the World Cup and the Rays are going, hey guys, yeah, you still missed a few tackles out there. So
That's exactly
there's
it.
work-ons.
And also, like, okay, so you've won the World Cup. Don't get too big a head. When you've won 2 World Cups, then you can have a big head about it. It's the same with us on radio. Yeah, the ratings are good, but, next
work.
time they could be down again. So get back to it.
So you're just never allowed to just stop and celebrate.
No.
Oh my
You're just
gosh.
constantly beaten over the head, eh?
Yeah. So it's not.
do better, do better, do better, do better.
So it is, so it's nice to be doing your own thing, and and not being questioned along the way about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Unless it's
having
from
that-
JJ, who's your business partner.
I'm like, don't do this. He just knows he's not allowed any say in the interior design.
Oh, right. That's JJ's domain.
When we were setting up, a friend of mine who works for this company that they deal with commercial property, they were having a sale because there was an office that shut down. And so I was like, JJ, I managed to buy like 4 desks for our office and they're $25 each.
No, he didn't say, and 2 big grey filing cabinets.
Oh no, I got them as well because they were like $10 each. It was all this surplus office. So hired a truck from Hire Ace, went there, picked them up. We didn't have this premise yet, so I put it in Storage King.
$400 a month.
So it was like half a day's work to drive the storage stuff, the Hire Ace van, and the very, very cheap desks and filing cabinets.
And
Then we gave it all away on Marketplace because
couldn't even sell the desks, had to give them away. So just didn't. Anyway.
Oh, well, that's it. It's quite good to just have, domains. Like Art's got outside, I've got inside.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And that's quite good. It's very clear. He makes the landscaping decisions. I make the interior design, which is obviously not going well.
I reckon he wrote the comment on Tattle, like Matilda interior designs like a nana.
Well, I find all this stuff on Pinterest, can never recreate it. It's always just not quite there. But
At least you give it a go, though. You're having fun doing it.
I love it. I have fun. And that's the main thing. I know I go antiquing and I enjoy myself.
great.
Anyway.
Oh my God, my mum would love to hang out with you. She loves antiques.
Oh, you tell your mum I'm always free for an antiquing day.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
She'll be into that.
What do you think, Dom, are the key factors that have contributed to the success that you're enjoying with the podcast? Oh, obviously asking for a friend. Clearly, you're very
What are the secret
tenacious.
ones?
How did you do
that
it?
I don't know. I think there's like persistence and patience and consistency, and also just authenticity as well. I think that's a big one. Like as you were saying earlier, Matilda, like we were quite authentic on the radio, but it's like a controlled authenticity. Like it's authenticity in like 3.5-minute blocks.
Yeah.
Or
And to a point, don't say this, don't say this.
yeah.
I guess it's sort of like it's forced in a way, You're like, right, we've got to be authentic because that's what we need to be to entertain.
Yeah, it's authenticity, but it's also got to be authenticity that is relatable to an 18 to 34-year-old female skewed audience. So if we were lucky enough to be successful with the IVF and have a baby, they'd be like, okay, that's cool, but don't talk about your baby that you've had.
Yeah.
Because
And on More FM, don't talk about drinking at nighttime, like even though every mother
Yeah.
listening has a wine at nighttime.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it because it's just not cool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's things that that you can't really reveal in case it's just not quite on brand or whatever. But doing podcasting, you can just be you, say you, whatever. Who's telling you what to do?
You guys must find that it's complete. Yeah, I think authenticity goes a long way because anything that's sort of like fake or not genuine, people
they
can
can tell.
smell it a mile away.
Yeah, but that's what, and I think that's why people, well, we know that's why people like listening to us. They're like, oh, it's just like hanging out with your mates. And that's what we want.
It's the beauty of podcasts, I think. It's like you can have a conversation without actually expelling any energy. It's great.
Can I do a shout out?
Yes.
Okay, so my bookkeeper, Kate Doyle, works for entitybooks.co.nz. She was bookkeeper of the year at the recent awards. Anyway, she messaged me today and said, I listen to Untidy all the time, and I'm looking forward to hearing the podcast.
Thanks, Katie.
Kate, Matilda and Hannah say hi.
Yeah, hi, Kate.
Thanks for listening. Tell all your friends.
She should change your name to untidypooks.co.nz, and then that wouldn't work
that
for a
wouldn't
bookkeeper.
work for her.
No, that wouldn't work
the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. People are like, I'm not coming into a messy office. What's going on?
She loves you guys.
And
And
when we hear about a listener in the wild, we're like, oh, I met someone. Like when you see someone with a cap on or something,
Or somebody drove past me. They had an untidy cap on. I was wearing mine. We had a moment. It was very cool. I know.
where do the caps come from?
Oh, it's our merch. We've got caps.
we need to we'll get you some.
You buy it on your website or something.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. Just tell us if you want one.
No, but I'm just saying, where did the person get the cap from? They
Oh,
bought it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
That's commitment.
I know.
I'm impressed.
It says a lot. If you're going to put a cap on, it says a lot.
Yeah.
Bloody awesome.
Yeah.
Good work, girls.
Thank you. But JJ, you left radio in July, wasn't
Yes.
it? After 33 years. And you have said, and I quote, the one thing I've learned as I've got older is how important mental health and clarity is. It's time I actually listen to what my inner self has been screaming at me for a while and slow down. So my question is, 4 months on, what's that experience been for you? Have you slowed down? Are you rested?
She's never been busier.
What I've learned about myself is I like to be busy.
Oh, but being busy's great. Are you a doer? You strike me as a doer.
Loves a project.
Active relaxer. Yeah, I love a project. When I resigned, I did not know we did not know we were going to do this business at all. I had no idea what I was going to do. A week later, Dom said, the lease has come up on this place. We should, build a podcast studio and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, cool. A week after that was my final day on the radio, and I was off to Bali for 3 weeks. So I'm in Bali thinking when I get back, we've got to start this business. So it's just a lot going on. So yeah, I've worked out I like to be busy, but I am so happy. I feel...
Cool.
I don't know, just like this massive weight is off my shoulder. I think I've just been doing the same thing for so long, and I really was burnt out. So I needed to do something new, and even though it was completely and utterly terrifying to me, I was really scared, which is why it took me so long to get around to leaving. But I'm actually no regrets now because I'm happy with I'm not making any money yet. I've never not made any money in my life.
But
I know it's going to come.
Yeah.
And I've been, I'm 50, so I've got some savings. So, I can live off that for now. But no, I feel good. I feel like you should just follow your heart. And if it's telling you to stop doing something or do something new, then just bloody do it.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And what about creativity? Because you have mentioned previously that you felt like your creativity was sort of dwindling towards the end of your radio career. Do you feel like you've got a renewed sense of creativity? Like creating this amazing space, PodLab?
It's definitely a different type of creativity I'm going to have to bring in here. And I'm a bit...
You got self-esteem issues
I've got
about
a bit of lack of confidence, actually. So I'm trying to build my confidence back up again because, we want to create podcasts for businesses and people. They come to us and go, can you help us with a podcast for our business? And we want to be able to create it for them with all the content and everything. But I'm actually feeling a little bit scared and nervous.
Which is normal, I think, with any new venture, right?
Yeah,
when you
Dom's like ready
care.
to go, but I'm like, hang on. I'm just trying to build my confidence slowly. I just want to do a couple of little jobs first. So yeah, I'm lack of confidence, which I've got to rebuild. But
Yeah. Well, back yourself, right? Because you...
I take my own advice that I'll give other people, but it's hard.
That's the hardest advice to take.
Yeah. Well, especially after coming from, being at a company like MediWorks for so long, like you've kind of got backup, right?
Yeah, the security
yeah,
there. No
exactly.
security
You've got
now.
the security. So it's sort of scary when you're kind of there by yourself. But you guys are doing a great job. Like this studio is incredible. It's
thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it's
Matty.
beautiful. This is very different to our usual lounge recording, so we're very excited about it. But I mean, what's the dream from here? Like, where would you like to see PodLab in 5 years or so?
Oh, God.
Have you thought that far ahead, or is it just get paid first and then worry about that later?
I mean, like Dom and I aren't money driven. We're just not. And we didn't start the business to become rich or anything. I mean, obviously you need to make money to live and also to pay your bills and your staff and all that sort of stuff. But the goal is actually just to do something cool for other people and do something cool and meaningful for yourself. Like you have to feel like you've got a purpose in life, right? And this is our purpose, we hope. I can't speak for you. That's my opinion anyway. What do you think?
Yeah, I pretty much just echoing what JJ said. Like, I just want to keep building on my own podcast. It's hard to know where that's going to be in 5 years' time. I launched it like 3 years ago, and it started off being like a niche running one at home, and now I'm in this amazing studio space. So, but I find if you keep taking the steps and moving forward every day, it's just amazing where you end up.
Yeah.
So that's my personal podcast, and with PodLab, just want to help people
Hopefully expand and we can take over the upstairs level of this building.
And get all your car parks.
Get more car parks. We're in the basement at the moment. We're in the dungy old garage.
Yeah, but one thing I really love about like the podcasting platform is like when both JJ and I got into radio, like she was in New Plymouth, I was in Palmerston North. It's a job that we really wanted to do. Like we had a burning desire to get into radio, and you needed to convince someone at a radio station who was like the gatekeeper to give you that opportunity. And now in radio, there's like less opportunities. So if you want that opportunity, you still have to get past a gatekeeper. Podcasting's changed all that. Like anybody can give it a go. And you'll either find an audience or you won't. But we can help people find that audience, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or at least do the best product they can. And that excites me a lot.
That's really exciting.
Help podcasts take over the world.
Yes.
And they are, they're starting to now. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to a point, though, where we can help people monetize their podcasts, because that's the other thing. Like, doing a podcast is all well and good and fun, but,
it helps when you can keep the lights on, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But also, a lot of people coming to us saying, how can I get sponsorship for my podcast and things like that? So that's something we want to look at as well down the track.
It's hard. It's a grind, as you guys must have found. How many episodes have you done now with Untidy?
Over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Which we need to celebrate more loudly online. We just haven't quite got around to.
I know.
Really busy.
We've got to take the wins and celebrate the wins. So we will be doing that.
We will.
Scheduling it in.
I mean, that's some serious commitment. That you've both done it from episode one, and there hasn't been someone that's dropped off or got fatigued or got burnt
we
out.
Love it. We love it, and I think, for our whole team, we work with such a sense of purpose, and that's what keeps us going, because you do have to accept a roller coaster of risk. Sometimes the money's coming in, sometimes it's not. You've got to make it work, but we still feel like this is such a privilege. And it's such an honour to be welcomed into people's ears, that they're choosing that, and we don't take it lightly. We really care so much about what we do, and we think it deserves to exist. And we want to grow it. We've got all these plans. But it's so exciting. Yeah. What do you guys love most about working with one another?
Oh, he's pretty easy because I just tell him what to do and he does it. So
that is nice.
Labrador energy.
And
I'm still his wife at work.
And JJ just gets stuff done. So like the PodLab idea was sort of my idea, but I look around the office out there and it looks like a page out of Home and Garden or something. If I took over this space, like what she's done in 1 month would take me like 10 years to get done.
I even did up the toilet because it looked like a gas station toilet, and everyone else is like, "Oh, why are you spending money on that?" No one. I'm like, come on. People need a nice place to pee.
They do.
Yeah.
Do you guys look back at your first... Oh, just my last question.
Go ahead.
I know we've been going on for a long time. You probably have to edit most of this.
We're wrapping up in a second, so we'll allow it. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, if you look back, you've done over 100 episodes, but how much you've changed and grown. Would it make you cringe to go back and listen to an earlier episode, for example, or have you seen the growth that you've had over the whole time you've done it?
Definitely. Especially with audio quality.
We wouldn't. I don't think we'd cringe, but we do look back on some of the things that, like there were a couple that we couldn't release.
Right? Why?
Yeah. This one famous one, and it was like our second try interviewing this person, who we won't name. Yeah. But if you know us well, you can ask.
It was a train wreck.
It was an absolute train wreck. So the first time we stuffed up with the recording equipment, with the settings on the Rodecaster.
Okay.
We stuffed that up because this is not our area of expertise. We're good with questions.
We were flustered.
Oh my God, we were so flustered. And he'd forgotten that we were coming.
He had forgotten, and then we were there with all our gear. He was upstairs for a really long time. We didn't know what was happening.
What was going on? It was very odd. And then, so we stuffed that up, and then we're like, oh, but we really want them. And so there happened to be an opportunity to record again. And so we rented a studio. We got him back in. He arrived an hour and a half late. Auckland traffic. And then halfway through the interview, he was just like, oh my God, I've got to go. And he just got up and like ran out of the studio.
And so Hannah and I were like, okay, so how do we wrap this up? It was all very weird.
It was all very weird. But yeah, so there's been, I mean, I don't look back at that and cringe, I just look back at that and be like, oh, some of those early days. I think we've got really good though at like, there's always some kind of issue sometime, but like, that doesn't overwhelm us anymore. We're like, okay, we've got this little issue.
Under technological pressure, aren't we? Somewhat.
Yeah. But I don't know, if I went back and listened to one of the early ones, I just feel so proud of all of them.
That's cool.
I really do. And like really proud of us. And I just love our team. Like we have, I mean, you were just saying how we have meetings and Art's been in another room. He comes in and goes, you guys haven't talked about work at all.
It's like, God, you guys talk shit for so long. When I'm like, right, I've got to talk to Hannah about this important work thing. And he's like, when are you going to get to
it? You tell him to stop eavesdropping.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't he have some press-ups to do or something?
Don't mow the lawn. Don't mow the lawn. Yeah.
Get back in the sauna with your little hat on.
And put your little naughty hat on and get in the sauna. Right. Love you, Art. Anyway, we just want to say it's such a big thank you to you guys for being on the show with us today. Like it's taken, JJ, I'm sure you've been watching the clock. We've had an hour and a half of chatting.
Oh, I hope Jazz, our engineer, is okay out there.
Oh, no, we've been trying to keep it going for as long as possible because here's the zinger. We're going to invoice you for studio time.
which you're telling about us while we're recording.
So we go another 4 minutes, we can round it up to 2 hours.
So you just keep on chatting.
JJ, ask more questions.
No. Thanks for having us on your podcast, though. It's been a pleasure having you in here. Do you know that this is the first time I've done a podcast in my own studio?
This is very exciting. Well, we're very excited to
the maiden voyage. It was really fun that
the
was
maiden
us.
voyage with Untidy. Yeah. So cool.
I mean, you always remember your first, so I'll always remember you, girls.
Oh, yes.
Likewise.
I'm pleased about that.
Beautiful.
And thanks for sharing the Kanye story with us.
Oh,
that was awesome. That was my highlight.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Well,
I'm looking at you like, I just can't believe we haven't talked about this before.
I
do
know.
feel a little, we need to talk about this in the car.
I love that. There's got to be more stories like that in there somewhere. We've just got to get them out of
that's
her.
the exciting thing.
Next time there's going to be gin in that cup.
Yeah. Then I'll be like, Hannah, here's another one. Yeah, Diddy will be next. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding.
JJ's like, I do actually have more questions.
Yeah, I actually went to a freak up, but I don't remember anything about it. I had a drink, and then that's all, the last thing I remember.
I didn't have any pants on.
Oh God, guys, it's been so fun to chat to you and interview, and I'm just like, people are so curious about you guys, so I'm thrilled that we could do this, and like it's really nice that we can sit here in front of you and I'm just observing like the dynamic between you, like the way that you. I'm sorry, this is going to make you feel really uncomfortable, but like the way you look at each other, and I can just see like there's just such synergy and such like trust and respect and appreciation, and it's really nice to observe.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So
appreciate
sweet.
that. And I should let you guys know, JJ gets asked to go on heaps of podcasts, and she doesn't do many. So.
Oh. Wow.
Thank you.
Believe
it or not,
made my
I
day.
hate talking about myself. Yeah, no, it's hard to believe.
You've only done it for 30 years.
Well, that's a lie. I read on Tattle that you love talking about yourself.
Everything you read about me on Tattle is 100% true.
Are you going to go and look up Tattle after this?
Piss off.
I don't recommend it.
Got better things to do with my day.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, talk to us some more. That's actually what's happening next. Oh, guys, thank you so much. We will wrap it up.
Yes,
but it's been really fun. So we really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Hen. Thanks, Matty.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Untidy. If you enjoyed it, we would really love your help to support us to continue to make the show. Things you can do that make a huge difference is subscribing to the show so you never miss an episode. You can also leave us a little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And of course, please share this podcast with your mates. It means that we can continue to build this community, keep putting out untidy episodes, and just keep doing what we love to do.
And don't forget to check out mybigmoments.com for kids' books that make your tricky job of parenting just a whole lot easier. Untidy listeners get a discount at checkout, so just pop in Untidy for 10% off your order when you check out. And lastly, we would like to thank all of the good people that make this podcast possible: Flicker Williams and Joe Rocker at My Big Moments for the beautiful artwork and design, and Maxine London Creative for editing this episode. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon. Mate wa.